evening, and once again welcome to the Midnight Man with Jaden Zander. In this episode 2, I shall feature 2 personal horror stories of mine. So, do sit back and come on this journey with me. Well, this first story happened to me when I was a police officer, a regular police officer, with the police K9 unit. And at this particular point of time, I was stationed at Changi Base. That was between 1997 to 2000. And well, being a dog handler at Changi Base, we have to assist the prisons department to make sure that the security, the perimeter security, is being taken care of, and that is our primary duty. So we do shift work, the morning shift and the evening shift, and this particular incident that happened to me, I was deployed to Selarang Park Center, that is along Changi, in the eastern part of Singapore. And I was detailed to perform the 2 a.m. to 8 a.m. shift. So as per normal, I prepared myself, and we left the base at around 1:45 to reach SPD at 2 a.m. And once we reached there, we arrived, we took over the earlier shift colleague of ours, and we were deployed immediately. And in SPD, there are 4 sectors: Sector 1, Sector 2, Sector 3, and 4. And on that particular night, I was deployed to Sector 3. So from the main gate, I made my way all the way to Sector 3. Well, after crossing the road, I reached the sub-gate, and that is where I needed to report to the warden on duty that night. So after reporting, to the right of the sub-gate is a smaller gate in which I have to go through to walk over to my dog hut together with my partner, with my K9 partner. So I made my way there, walking. It took me about 5 minutes, 5 to 8 minutes, I think, of walking time to reach the dog hut at the back of Sector 3. So once I arrived at the dog hut, it was normal. It was a very small hut. There is only a table and a chair for me to sit and to keep a lookout for any abnormalities. So to my right, there is this prison block, right? It's a 2-story prison block, and on the first story is where the prison warden station at, and the second level is where the inmates stayed at. So on the second level, there were about 6 windows, and on top of each windows there were these fluorescent tubes, and they kind of like lit up the windows. So as I was sitting there, it was about 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning, I think, between 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning. So as I was sitting there, from the corner of my eyes, I kind of like noticed that there's this person standing at the window, at the last window of that particular building. Okay, so I look over my shoulder, and I saw this person standing at the window, at the grill, and he kind of like he was shirtless. So I believe he was, because it was a very warm night. So I believe they were not wearing any t-shirts, and this particular person was only wearing shorts, a pair of shorts. So I can see his torso, I can see his arms, and I can see his part of his thighs, his legs, because I believe he was standing on his bed. So as I was looking, I thought nothing of it, because it was a very warm evening. So yeah, I thought it's normal. Yeah. So after a while, I look over my shoulder again, and I saw the same person at the same position, at the same spot. He did not move at all. He was still standing there. And I can see his torso, everything else. But he was still not moving, so I thought nothing of it. And until the third time that I looked over my shoulder, and I saw this person, the same person, standing at the window. But after taking a closer look at that person, I kind of like realized that I saw his body, his torso, I saw his arms, his hands, I saw his thighs and legs, but it kind of weird because I cannot see his head. And so I squint my eyes, look at that person again, and I realized that that person is headless. There's no head on him. But that really freaked me out, and I jumped out of my chair. I ran together with my dog to the sub gate, and I banged on the door, on the warden's door. So he came over, and he opened the gate, and he was like asking me what happened, and he kind of like he understands that. He knew that I saw something because, according to him, I looked pale. I looked very pale, and I said, I saw something, and he was like, okay, it's okay. You just go to the toilet, wash your face, and come over to the subgate and sit with me. I did just that. So I went over, sat with him, and after that, then he asked me what happened. And I told him that while sitting at my dog hut, the block at the back, nearer to the dog hut of Sector 3, I saw this person standing, looking out the window on the second level, and he was like, huh? The last block, I told him yes, the last block nearer to the dog hut. And he was like, he went over to his register, he was checking the register, and he came back and he told me that, okay, the last block nearer to the dog hut, that block is empty. There's no inmate or prison warden in that block. So, I do not know what you saw. And that was it. That was the point whereby I told the warden I'm going to stay with him at the subgate all the way till morning. Yeah, and that it was kind of a scary experience to be to encounter such headless being, while I was on duty at SPD. That is the first story for tonight, and on to the next story. This story happened not in the prison itself, but it happened in Changi Base. The same thing, I was deployed as a duty officer performing the graveyard shift. Alright, so as per normal, as a duty officer, you have to make sure that the operations room is in order, and have to be alert and prepared for any incoming deployments or operations that we have to attend to. So on this particular night, there was about 6 of us base on standby. So while waiting for calls to come in, four of my colleagues, they were outside of the ops room, sitting on this square table actually, and they were like thinking of playing cards. So the card game started, and myself and another colleague stood by just looking at them playing the card game, and a lot of laughter and chatting going on. So this particular colleague of mine, he was like chatting, and he was shuffling the cards when accidentally a few of the cards slipped out of his hands and fell to the floor. So he kind of like bent over to pick up the cards that he dropped. So after picking up the cards, I mean, he quickly got up, and he suddenly went quiet. It was not like himself. He kind of like kept quiet, and he gave us that shocked expression, and he told us to why don't we stop playing the card game and go into the ops room and just chat. Then after that we said, okay, fine, why not we just go into the ops room and chat, stand by. So we did that, and nothing happened after that. So moving on to the morning after that incident, we were changing in the locker room, and I approached him and I asked him, I mean, what happened yesterday? I mean, you look shocked after you picked up the cards. And that was when he told me what happened. As he was bending over to pick up the cards, bear in mind there were only 6 of us. Four of them were sitting at that square table. So there were not that many pair of legs. But when he was bending over to pick up the cards, he saw there were a lot of legs under the table. He saw legs standing around the table, and they were not human legs. And that was what freaked him out. And I told him that, that particular base is not the cleanest, if you know what I mean. And we kept it at that, and only a couple of us know about this story because we kept it to ourselves. But now it is out, and all of you also know what happened on that particular night at Changi Base. That is 2 stories for your listening pleasure right here on episode 2 of season 1. And I do hope to see you again, or to meet you again next week as I feature 2 more stories, personal stories of mine. So till then, I'm